As the nation wakes up from its quarantine dream or nightmare, what does this mean for small business owners? Join us today as we continue our COVID-19 shelter-in-place, work-from-home series on today's Straight Shot Marketing Podcast.
Welcome to Straight Shot. Marketing is everywhere. It's around your life. From what you eat to what you wear and where you go. It is a vital part of any and all business. Let's discuss the world of marketing and business as it influences everyday life with the staff of Atlanta marketing agency Reformation Productions and guests as they give it to us straight. Get ready. Take aim. Steady. Welcome to Straight Shot.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us in what we hope is the last podcast shot from our home studios during the COVID-19 virus pandemic. In our state, Georgia, the mandatory shelter-in-place home order is expired officially, and the governor has put in place new regulations and guidelines for businesses to begin reopening. And lots of people have their opinions about that. Zachary, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I, like a lot of people, have decided to kind of wait a little longer and see how the numbers change as people begin to rush back out. Right. You know, so safety is of the utmost concern for me, followed closely by the state of the economy. Now, we've been able to make some adjustments here and work from home, but I understand that some businesses really need to open their doors. The government assistance has been late or of little help to many.
Not dependable.
Or misappropriated, which we'll talk about. But people have to feed their families.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about that. Okay. What are some of the things that business owners have been going through during all of this pandemic?
I think the biggest challenge has been converting to work from home. I mean, with us as an agency, we work with big files. We have video files and audio files and big graphic files. And that is, works well with our server that's at the office. Well, when you have people spread out in their homes, the connectivity through the cloud is not as efficient. So that's been a challenge. I think the whole converting to work from home for us that way. With others, it's people that aren't used to doing virtual meetings and they're not used to, using Zoom. Zoom is really, really thankful for this pandemic because they are now a household name.
Raise your hand if you now know what Zoom is. Yeah, and I think that the work from home idea is always really good in theory. I think when it's a normal situation, all of us want the opportunity to be able to work from home. It sounds like it would be a dream, going to work every day in your pajamas. But then we realize that we have a lot of distractions to contend to in the home atmosphere. Let's take out some of the big things, and I'll talk about that in a second. We're looking at floors that need to be vacuumed and home things that we've been putting off that we now realize need to be done. And now a lot of us are also having to play school teacher.
Yes, that's been really, really big because, work from home is one thing. Work from home and be a homeschool teacher is completely different.
That sounds an awful lot like two full-time jobs happening simultaneously. And if you are having more than one child at the house, then this is becoming such an issue for you because now you're having to, you have one or two computers in the house. Hopefully, maybe you'll have more. Right. But if you have more than one child, everybody's waiting for their turn to use the internet. Everybody's waiting for their turn to go to school online. And you have to, as the parent, keep all of your assignments straight.
Well, you figure you have, it's just imagine most households have two working parents. Okay. So 2 working parents, and say you have 2.5 children, you need 5 computers with high-speed internet all at the same time.
Yes.
It's not
ideal. Yeah. And let's not forget the one glaringly obvious issue that none of us are talking about It is freaking our pets out. It is absolutely
Why are you home?
freaking out. I think the only reason why most people, have cats is because the cat knows that you're going to be gone for long periods of time and that the house is clearly theirs. The fact that you're home all the time now, totally freaking the cat out. The cat does not appreciate that. I know that our dog has no idea what to do with himself. He literally thinks it's the end of the world because we haven't left.
One of the things that I have the biggest day-to-day issue with is using webmail. It's amazing how much
He is a creature of habit.
I have Outlook. It's an email client. Everything is organized the way it's supposed to be. I can search and find stuff. And of course, everybody thinks this pandemic thing is temporary. So my home computer does not have my Outlook client on it. So I've been using webmail. Webmail, not as good to go through emails. It's just not.
And I think you bring up a really good point, that it's so hard for any of us to really get adjusted to anything that's going on because we're not sure how temporary the situation is. And
even today.
Yes, I mean, it's one thing to know that you're just going to take like 2 weeks to work from home, 3 weeks to work from home. It's another thing to where if you have decided I am working from home now, and so you move everything into your house.
Permanent, right?
But I don't think many of us have made the permanent adjustments, so we're constantly living in this state of temporary solution, and it's not upholding anything.
Well, that's the thing. I've set up my office to be extremely efficient. For me, I have, all the sides of my desk. I have all the monitors that I want. I have everything.
We like to call it ordered chaos.
Exactly where it is that I want for it to be. Home office, again, supposed to be temporary, not set up for that. So I find myself missing my office.
He has a grand piano over here, which you can't see, but it is in the middle of his office. And it is being used as a desk at the moment, which is interesting.
This home office is set up for me to compose music. For fun, on the side. I have Morris Day on the wall. I have, Rush and
Purple Rain
and Adam Ant, and these are not things that you find in my professional office space.
Maybe you should. Maybe this should inspire your office space. Maybe you should put this stuff in your.
I do have in my office. I do have the little. They're not bobbleheads. What are they called?
Oh, Pop Funkos.
The Pop Funkos, yes.
Yes. We are Pop Funkos. We should actually have our own.
That's true. You've done it digitally. I'm looking for a Steve Jobs Pop Funko for my collection. I collect these Pop Funkos that they represent different aspects of my personality. And I'm looking for one that's Steve Jobs, and they haven't made it yet. Somebody had one made, but...
Right, yeah. So if anybody listening gets their hands on a Steve Jobs Pop Funko, leave us a comment, reach out to us.
So, that's all the issues that we have with working from home. But a lot of people weren't able to work from home, and management has had to furlough or lay off their staff. So that's been difficult for, obviously, the employees because most management, most leadership, depends on the business that you're in, but I know with an office as tight as ours, we feel responsible for those that work for us, and we don't take that relationship lightly. So having to lay somebody off or furlough them until this whole thing is over,
it sucks.
Doesn't settle well.
Sorry, it's not a very professional
sucks
word.
For them, sucks for management as well.
Sucks all the way around to kind of have to put work family on hold.
Well, sometimes it's just that the jobs that were necessary in your business didn't lend itself well to work from home for whatever reason, depending on what the job was. And so they were obviously laid off. But in a lot of cases, especially with B2B, the clients, they were having issues, which means that you then had to lay. So this whole thing has just been an absolute disaster.
Everybody.
What a lot of just normal everyday people that aren't business owners, people that are employees somewhere, don't realize is the responsibility that business owners take on for their employees, for their staff. We look at it as a responsibility to provide for that man or woman that then provides for their family. And so when you have to get in a situation where you have to furlough or you have to lay off people. It's not something that we take lightly. It's not something that we enjoy doing for several reasons. Number one is the fact that that responsibility passes down through their children. The other is, they could get hired away from you while they're being laid off. So that's a concern as well. If they all of a sudden get another opportunity somewhere else before you can bring them back, then you've lost that valuable employee, and that happens too. The other issue in this same area is a lot of people aren't able to bring their staff back because the companies have been so hurt by this pandemic situation that it's going to take a while before they're able to staff back up because, like I mentioned through all the other hardships that have been going on financially, they have to be able to pay their, the power bill and their lease for their space and all that before they worry about staffing up again, even if they're rehiring their old staff. So, a lot of businesses just haven't been able to make it. They've just folded.
That's so sad.
It is sad, but a lot of them, particularly the ones that need the public in order to survive. See, that's another thing, is dealing with the fact that not only are you working from home, but the public is staying home. So those companies that are relying on foot traffic or relying on, it's a personal service like a nail salon or a hair salon or something like, or even restaurants where you are counting on the public walking into your business. If now the public is having to stay at home, it's devastating.
Oh yeah, like I said before, it impacts everybody. When you have, business professionals that provide a service that count on tips, or they file as 1099s, they don't oftentimes qualify for unemployment. So because they don't qualify for unemployment, this is devastating to these people. And a lot of these people will like rent their booth space from a salon. So that just means that they can't go right back to work when they want to a lot of times because they can't afford the space again.
Yeah, so a lot of people that have to have a storefront, have to have a brick and mortar business, they've really not been able to handle this as well as those of us that have, business offices that the public doesn't really come to unless they're invited. We have meetings in our office, but they're by appointment. People don't just drop by. So those businesses that are kind of in the whole, drop by thing have really, really had a hard time with this. And that brings up another thing is those businesses, they require to have the public out and about.
Oh, yeah.
Retail, salons, all of that.
Service industry people.
People dealing with the fact that the public is staying at home, that's having a big impact during all of this as well. And having to make shifts as far as how do you continue to have an audience when you cannot count on drop by, walk in anymore. There are... You talked about not qualifying for unemployment. There are several different things available now. There's, the pandemic unemployment, which is brand new with the pandemic. There's also your state unemployment. There's also the stimulus that came from Washington on high.
The stimulus that we've heard so much about.
Yep. And then there's also...
Not everybody's had yet.
There's also the SBA funds. A lot of people didn't even know who the SBA was, and then now all of a sudden, everybody that owns a business, whether they went to the different branches of the SBA before or not, they definitely went there when they needed, pandemic related.
You know about it now.
Funds. So that's something that's been going on too, and not only you're working from home. You're in an uncomfortable environment. You don't have your stuff that you need to have. Oh, and by the way, you have to fill out all of these forms, and your CPA is probably, furloughed or working from home as well. So you have to fill out all of these financial forms. The IRS is closed, right?
Yes, which, by the way, that's a huge point of contention for me because I'm just going to sound off for just a minute. I know that if I needed to, I could call up Domino's Pizza and have a pizza delivered to my house within 45-ish minutes because they are considered an essential business. Yes. Now, for those of you listening that own a Domino's franchise, That's awesome. That's great. I love it. Domino's is delicious. However, the thing that really grinds my gears is that the IRS is actually closed. It is considered non-essential, apparently, in this time. And for those people that might be relying on help from the IRS, they can't get any. You know, if somebody were to call up the Reformation Productions, our agency's phone number right now, business line, it would actually ring and be forwarded to somebody that's working from home, so that their questions will still be addressed, the call will still be answered, it will be redirected, possibly by email, to the right person. The funny thing is, if you call the IRS, it just tells you, sorry, we're closed. We're sure all of your answers can be found online, which it can't. So the website has had a lot of technical glitches because everything's just been funneled through the website. So it's been interesting to me during this pandemic to really find out what businesses are considered essential and which ones are not. I never would have guessed Domino's was an essential business.
Well, not only that, Domino's delivers, but you know, we've got ice cream shops that are because they have a drive-through, they're staying open. I've never thought ice cream with Starbucks. Starbucks is essential, evidently. So yeah, those things are.
I tell you what, though, as business owners ourselves and being in the business world, wouldn't you think almost all businesses are essential?
They are to the business owner.
In some way? Because I mean,
definitely are to the
they're
business
all providing a good or service that people need. I mean, if you're doing it right, you know, you're in business to give people something, to fill a hole, to give them what they need. So I contend that all businesses are essential. However, there seems to be some that are more essential than others. Healthcare, for example, in this pandemic, that's a no-brainer.
Well,
they're essential. I would think the government buildings like the IRS would be considered essential, at least have the calls forwarded somewhere.
Especially with all of the SBA funding paperwork stuff that is relying on your tax return. All of that is...
That was my soapbox.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I had to go out on a little tirade there for a minute.
Everything right now that's going on with government-related financial assistance, everything, all that hinges on the IRS. The IRS should be open.
The IRS website keeps crashing because it's inundated.
If we can work from home, the Internal Revenue Service should be able to work from home.
Open up your doors, IRS. There are people waiting.
Well, as far as essential businesses, one of the things that's definitely not essential is the movie theater system. We enjoy movies. Mm-hmm. So the entire movie theater system across the country completely shut down, which has posed a huge problem for making and releasing movies. Yeah. So Hollywood, the production of movies and TV, shut down. So
that's huge.
So it is huge because we're all sitting at home binge watching stuff on TV, streaming it or whatnot, and we're running out of programs, and they're not making new ones.
We've all seen The Tiger King. We've all seen it. We're done. Now moving on to Ozark. We're done with Ozark. We're all caught up. What do we do?
Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul's all caught up.
Yep. Yeah. So, it's really affecting things as people have moved out of the theaters and into streaming from their home and all of that, which brings up the next point. Everything during the pandemic has been moved to the digital world. People are relating with their friends socially on social media. People are buying things via the internet instead of going to stores. People are meeting with their counselors via virtual meetings on Zoom as opposed to going into their office and kicking their feet up. And how do you feel about this?
People are having digital proms and digital graduation. Yes, they're having digital proms where they have a bunch of people on Zoom cameras and they have music playing and they have one person that's the moderator or the DJ of the prom. And I mean, it makes for awkward dancing, I think. But it makes for, like when I was in Catholic school, we had to leave some space between you and the person you were dancing with. So that's good.
Leave room for the Holy Ghost.
And I just received an email today about virtual graduation ceremonies, which is so bittersweet for the class of 2020. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. You guys really did not get your fair senior year like the rest of us. But, I think, like to Zachary's point, we're all just kind of adjusting to a new normal. Everything is online right now. Everything from getting your groceries delivered to communicating with your family and your friends. Business is online. So many things can be accomplished when we are not in the same room. Actually, it's interesting.
Everything has gone to the digital realm, the digital world. So everything from connecting with each other for businesses, meetings are being done via Zoom or Microsoft Team or Skype or lots of the things that are out there. And then you have people that are doing their retail shopping is all online. Yeah. People are ordering grocery shopping. Yeah, people are ordering their groceries online. They're ordering dinner online and having it delivered because people are delivering now. But not only those things, but social and entertainment has now moved online too. We were doing, social media. Social was online before, but it really is now. Yeah. And entertainment too. We've had issues with Netflix crashing, with Hulu crashing, with people because the entire neighborhood all day long is on the internet. And that creates a bandwidth issue. Yes,
Charter Spectrum has their work cut out for us just in this neighborhood.
So
they crash at least once a day for the last couple of weeks.
So everything has moved to the digital world. People that were ignoring it and, I don't like the internet are now having to deal with the digital realm of things.
Absolutely. And now I know we've already talked a little bit about all of this in our first COVID-centered episode about things that business owners should be doing during this time. So I guess those things still stand now, though.
Yes, the pandemic is not over. Right. We are just starting to see a small glimpse into coming out of it. Right. But the things that we mentioned in that episode, you should still be doing. Communicating with your audience via digital media, talking to them, having that open communication, be it, commiserating, I understand the problem. We're all having problems, or informing them about how to, maintain without your service. The nail salons, for example, for one, they should be communicating, I know you can't come in to get your nails done. This is how you take care of what I did last time until I can see you again. The same thing with, people cutting their own hair. They are doing serious damage
God bless the people that are cutting hair.
And what their hairstylists should be doing is saying, this is what you can do to maintain until you can come back. Keeping that kind of communication open via digital media. And then the other thing is the people that you can still work with, let them know how to work with you. You can't come into my restaurant anymore, but we're offering curbside service.
Call me when you get there. I'll run it out to you.
So I know a lot of counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, whatever, put me, how do you feel about that? They're moving their services onto doing virtual in-home.
Zoom.
Zoom meetings.
If you are an owner in Zoom, you are probably profiting a lot during this pandemic.
Business coaching is the same thing. I usually, I meet with people. We have dinner, we have one-on-one, we talk about their business, we do all of that. All of that's been moved to online. And it's a lot of businesses are going to find that works well for them, and that they will continue to.
Or it's just more efficient.
Mm-hmm. So, communicating with your office via digital means, one of the things we talked about, that should still be going on. The other is keeping your business alive by converting to digital product or service delivery whenever possible. Be that, taking online orders, or you now have an app where people can, because a lot of places, fast food places, they now have apps where you can you can go in there, you can
and they're connecting themselves. Fast food places, restaurants, even sit down fine dining restaurants are connecting with Instacart and DoorDash now, where they normally would kind of be a step below.
Places like Best Buy. Best Buy, you go in and you shop, right? Well, now you order online, and then they'll bring it to you at the curb of of Best Buy, which never, ever, ever happened before. So being able to, to have that, developing out those apps or developing a way to sell things online if you didn't have it before, having online meetings and consultation, call ahead service, curb delivery, all of those things that you have needed to do to continue working, all of that should still be going on, because a lot of people still don't feel comfortable with coming out.
No, I know that, like we mentioned earlier in the episode here, in the state of Georgia, the shelter-in-place order has been lifted. We are free to roam about the county. However, we're still practicing safe social distancing. We are continuing to keep our agency and Straight Shot here at the house for the time being, because just because the order is lifted doesn't really change the pandemic. It doesn't change the safety of.
Right. So yes, you should be doing all of those things.
Yes.
But specifically today, what I want to talk about is preparing to reopen.
Get back to work.
There's a lot of movement that we're now starting to see towards businesses coming back, getting the economy functioning again. And there's a lot of things you as a business owner need to be prepared for. Mm-hmm. One, unfortunately, is some of the backlash that's going to come from that. There are some people that are very argumentative and very much against the idea of people opening their businesses early. The governor of Georgia is considered one of the people that are kind of premature with opening up the state.
He's controversial,
and he's getting an awful lot of backlash with people thinking it's too early to do that. Other businesses getting a lot of backlash when they're trying to start their business again. But we have to remember, these people, they have to feed their family. A lot of people, not the governor, of course, the governor, we take care of the governor as taxpayers, but a lot of businesses that don't qualify for any assistance, they need to be able to provide for their family. And the public giving them garbage about how to do it is not fair.
Yeah, it's not helping.
The other thing is that, there's a lot of extra steps with opening up this early, particularly in Georgia. There's a lot of rules that are in place. They are having to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to open up their businesses, and they've decided that it's worth it. Everybody's on social media, so you've probably seen all of this in your news feeds, but there's a lot of people that talk about, the economy, we need to open the economy back up. And then you have people that are talking about the safety aspect. And safety is important. Mm-hmm. However, you cannot close your eyes and ignore what this is doing to our economy.
Right.
You just can't. It's having an effect on both. Safety is important. Yes, absolutely. We don't want people to perish, be injured, hurt, any of that.
Pass the virus on to those that
However,
are compromised.
It's also, this virus is hurting people physically. It's hurting businesses economically. There's more than one victim in this whole thing.
Right.
And you can't just close your eyes and ignore that. And a lot of people are there. That's part of the argument. It's making a lot of people angry. So there is, you have to understand, with opening your business this early, you may get some backlash from some people. Other people like us, I'm just going to sit back and watch for a little while. Let's see what that curve does as people rush out there.
Them be the guinea pigs.
Yeah, because just because the government says, okay, we're no longer going to throw you in jail for being out and about, doesn't mean the virus is gone. It doesn't.
No.
So, in other states, Georgia is opening up where you can go to places that should not have been first. Bowling alley is not the first thing that I would have opened. But other places like Pennsylvania and Illinois are having harsher rules.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Illinois
if you're
still
seen,
on super lockdown.
If you're seen out and about without a mask on, they will arrest you. Which is the exact opposite of what's going on in Georgia. So there's a lot of confusion as we start to reopen the country in some places. So you kind of have to watch out and be prepared for that.
Yeah,
people have to feed their families. And if you're, again, places like salons, a lot of those people, 1099. they don't qualify for some of the assistance that other people do as far as unemployment and that sort of thing. And I know there's, the pandemic unemployment assistance versus the state unemployment assistance. And we're not getting into all of that.
Even if they do qualify for it, doesn't mean they've seen any of it yet.
True.
Because of all the backlog.
Absolutely. And the fact that there's so much red tape you have to go through to get it, and the IRS is closed. There's been backlash from not only people opening up too early, but people accepting funds that they shouldn't have accepted. The way that this works with the PPP program, which is the payroll protection the way that works is the SBA provides the funds, but they don't have the manpower because the SBA is not that big of a.
It wasn't prepared for a pandemic.
Yeah, so they are allowing other lenders like your local bank to process and qualify people. So the problem with that is a lot of the local banks have favorite customers like, Ruth Chris. And so they are processing their program, their loan faster than a lot of the people that really, really need it. And so when Ruth Chris, for example, and they're not the only one, $2 million of this program went to a high-end luxury restaurant that has multiple locations throughout the nation and happened to be able to be processed as a small local business because they're franchised, I assume. But the banks pushed theirs in front of smaller businesses that needed it more. Now, Ruth Chris did the right thing. They did go through the process. They were awarded the money. But then they started receiving backlash from people, and they gave it back.
Right. I think that many of us have heard in the news that the two major benefactors of the payroll protection program. Thank you. Was Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Also, a place called Shake Shack?
I think so.
Shake Shack, something like that. And
that's a New England
right.
area.
That's another large business, received over $1 million very quickly. The Shake Shack people have already paid back actually their loan,
right?
Because they were getting all the backlash. Ruth Chris, I think, is in the process of paying back their loan. But hey, look, many of us have always heard about the middle class or the working class or the business owners in this country kind of getting the short end of the stick. I'm just going to tell you, a lot of us are getting screwed. We've been getting screwed, and we've known that, but we haven't had... You're not going to edit screwed out. You can be all professional. I'm going to say we were getting screwed. And I think we kind of knew that, but I think now, having seen all of this pandemic, it's really brought to light how the middle working class really does fall short when receiving the proper funding and receiving the I'll say bailout, because bailout's such an ugly word. Well, but the proper assistance and relief that we've needed.
There's a lot of people. I don't want to get political. A lot of people complain about things that are being done for big business. Trump, the president, is a businessman. So he is looking out for our economy and business. One of the things that has come out of this is an awareness how much of our country is made up of small business.
Yes.
And that there is a difference between big business corporations and small business. And so, every time something was done for business in the White House or in the government, it's not necessarily big business, it's all business. And people have a tendency to only think of business as these big companies. But I tell you, a lot of our clients are smaller, regional, local businesses that don't have all that overhead that everybody says, ooh, you work for a business, you own a business. Yes,
wait a minute.
It's not really that way.
What are you implying? Are you implying that as a small business owner, you can't just take off whenever you want? Are you implying that your resources are boundless and endless, and you must go on trips to Costa Rica and women fancy, and that your job is easy.
There are some major corporations that have luxuries, but the vast majority of the working businesses in this country are not that way. Yeah. The business owner is the first person in, the last person out.
We are there early, we are there late. We are there 7 days a week. We are there 365 days out of the year.
You know, you talk about people that are that were laid off or furloughed during this time. I guarantee you the business owner cut their paycheck first, because that's what we do to take care of our businesses. And so the whole glamour idea of these, you know, big Enron corporations that, you know, have all these big slush funds, the majority of the country is working class business owners that are trying to take care of their employees. That is most of the business community.
Yeah, and I know you feel it. I know as a small business owner, you feel it. This is unprecedented.
Right.
So many people on unemployment, so many businesses needing relief. Where is this money coming from? It's actually kind of amazing that there's anything there for us. So I think patience.
I guarantee you it's something we're always going to have to pay back with our taxes from this point forward.
Wait, are you again implying something that there's no such thing as free money? Doesn't it come from trees? Well, can't we just print more?
I do understand. Again, this is not a political show, but I understand
it is today.
Why the government is providing this money, because our economy is really shut down. It's a really bad thing right now. And without, you know, businesses can't make money because we're not able to do our business because people aren't able to buy from us. However, you still have mortgages and car loans and all of those things. And those people still want to get paid. Whether you're working in your office or not, you still have a lease. And so them providing this stimulus money is a way to kind of band-aid and skip ahead in that process to keep the economy running so that we don't have another Great Depression. I understand what we're trying to do, what the government is trying to do. I hope it works, because this could really change the face of our economy. The vast majority of people are not business owners, but they work for somebody that's a business owner, or they do work for some big corporation. So that shift in how they see the business as people, because we're all people, that shift is a big thing. But there's another side of that we need to be prepared for as well, and that is, as a business owner, you need to be prepared for the shift in understanding and behavior of your employees, your customers, and even yourself as a result of this pandemic. For example, I'll start with a positive one first. This pandemic has made people start to focus on their family more than they had before. Generally speaking, you have a lot of business owners, talked about you too, and a lot of employees that are driven people. I have to go. I have to meet this impossible deadline. I have to provide this. I have to da-da-da-da-da.
If I don't do it, who will?
Right. And a lot of times their family suffers. Mm-hmm. Well, because of the pandemic, they've been forced to work from home where they see their family more. And so a lot of times that will change their focus in a positive way. If they're forced to be around little Jimmy all day long, it helps them to remember, oh, this is why I had children.
Right.
You know?
I think as a business owner, how many times have you missed a Little League game because you've had to work? And I think the pandemic has provided the giant reset switch that most of us kind of needed to, not only are we not missing Johnny's Little League games, but we're actually the ones throwing the ball for him in the yard.
Yeah, and that's going to happen not only with business owners, but also employees. You have that person that works for you that always, oh, yes, sir, I'll stay late, and they miss their Little League soccer game or whatever it is. You may now find that they are, you know what, Mr. Business Owner, boss, I will get to that first thing in the morning. I have to go to Tommy's game. And that's okay. We need to respect the people that work for us, as long as they're not taking advantage of us. Two-way street, guys. But it is important, I think, to recognize that closer tie with family is something that we're probably going to end up seeing in the workplace.
Absolutely. And it is a positive thing. It is a very positive thing that we have as a country. You know, America has always been a very driven country. We are big on small business. We have been, we work longer hours than a lot of other countries. We work harder. We work all around the clock. I think it's been good for us as a country to kind of reconnect with our families again. That's what I'm going to say in the positive way. The negative aspect of that is we're at home with our families, and it's making us crazy. And it kind of makes us want to get back to work. Am I right? We need to start being productive again.
Now, another thing that I think that's going to happen is people are going to have a lot larger appreciation for stay-at-home parents. There's always been a stigma in our society with stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home parents and people. Oh, you don't work? I wish I didn't have to work. Well, now they realize that stay-at-home parents do work.
What do you do all day? Exactly.
Because now that worker bee parent has had to come home and see what the stay-at-home parent has to do all day, they realize, oh, it's a job. And I have great appreciation for the fact that you're staying at home. So I think that shift is going to change too. The other thing that's going to happen, and this is not related to bringing employees back, but an appreciation for daycares and schools.
People that watch your children.
That take care of your children. For sure, because
we love them in small doses.
Children,
I mean.
Being a person that has to watch your children and try to work at home, not an easy task.
So you're an employee working from home. You're a full-time stay-at-home mom, dad. You're also a full-time stay-at-home teacher. It's all happening all at one time, and it's very, very scary.
Another thing that we need to be ready for through all of this are people that have enjoyed staying at home and that are going to have difficulty coming back to the office and adjusting going to work. People that you have your time you're supposed to get up and go to work. They get up on a schedule, and then they're at the office by 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then they work there until, now with work at home, some of that's become loosey-goosey. Maybe
some of us might be wearing pajama pants right now.
Right. Maybe I'll start my day at 10 o'clock. I take longer having coffee. I do bump, because now working from home, you kind of have the flexibility with your schedule. And so as employees start going back to work, you may find some difficulty with them coming in on time, looking appropriate, because they haven't had to. There's people ball up their hair on top of their head, don't put any makeup on, look however they want, because they're not seeing anybody.
I think we're gonna have a hard time getting to work on time. Just getting into the office, I think traffic and gridlock is gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah, because
people are finally gonna have to start leaving their houses to go places, and it's gonna be such a drag.
So something else to kind of be mindful of as a business owner, your employees are going to have some transition issues coming out of it, just the same as they had it going in. The other thing is, maybe I'll lift that file at home, stuff like that, but that'll be remedied pretty quickly.
Patience.
So those are some of the things that we need to be prepared for. The other thing that I think that you should do is a lot of those new developments that you've made because of the pandemic in order to stay alive as a business, you should keep those going. They are additional offerings, additional profit centers in some cases that you didn't have before. If you were, a psychiatrist, right? And you had people coming into your office because people couldn't come into your office. You decided to start having these Zoom consultation settings. That is now an additional offering that your business can have that you didn't have before the pandemic. You can keep that going. Schools and colleges, now that people are used to learning from home, that's an additional offering that you may not have had online school before. Now you have the ability to do that, and you've been forced to accept it, because a lot of times this has not been that it wasn't available, it's been that you weren't comfortable with it. And since you've had to do it,
we were stuck in the same thing,
Yep.
the same routine, the same forms of technology or lack of technology, that this is, like I said before, it's the reset button. It's giving us a chance to start everything over.
Since you've now had to do it, keep it. It is good for you. Curbside service, e-commerce. You've shifted everything onto e-commerce. Don't close down e-commerce once the pandemic is over. That is an additional revenue stream for you now. It's an additional offer to your public. It's one of the many things that you can keep doing that was a result of the pandemic.
Not to mention the fact that a lot of your customers are getting used to it too.
True.
So you don't want to have to change up things again when they've just started getting used to using an e-commerce website, things like that. Now, let me ask you, what about keeping the ability to take business phone calls from your cell phone?
That sounds familiar.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, I do.
I'm talking, of course, about Tresta, one of our awesome sponsors. I think we should take a break and pay some bills. This episode is brought to you by Tresta. Tresta is a business phone app for your iPhone or Android that allows you to activate a business phone number instantly and make and receive unlimited calls and texts right from the smartphone you're already using. Whether you're a freelancer or a founder, growing your business is all about communication and networking. You've got to be available. And chances are, you've been giving your personal phone number out to clients so you can stay connected on the go. Tresta's virtual phone system allows you to separate your personal and business phone numbers and get work done anywhere, anytime. Tresta also comes equipped with powerful call management features like auto attendance, call recording, and user groups. It's easy to configure so you can set everything up yourself, all online, and customize your call flows based on your business needs. Tresta is the best phone app for small businesses and entrepreneurs, whether you just need a business phone number or if your team is ready for a complete business phone system. It's just $15 per month, and it comes with a 30-day free trial so you can see if Tresta's virtual phone system is right for you. Communicate smarter and more efficiently with Tresta. Start now at Tresta.com/straightshot. That's TRESTA.com/straightshot. All one word.
Straight Shot is brought to you by Reformation Productions, a full-service marketing agency in Atlanta, Georgia, helping companies promote and communicate their business in the most efficient and effective ways possible through straight line marketing. Find out more by visiting reformationpro.com or call 678-825-8086. Reformation Productions. Think in straight lines.
Thank you to our sponsors. Now, back to the show, and we are talking about preparing to reopen when the pandemic is over.
Yes, we were talking about the new developments that you may have made as a business owner during this shelter-in-place, stay-at-home order. But you should also, in my opinion, keep developing more areas in case something like this happens again, or in case there's a reoccurrence. There is a good chance that, stay at home is expired.
We all run out. Pandemic
Things
again.
get worse. They put it back in place again. So you kind of need to be aware of that. There's a lot of things that you have been doing, you should keep doing. And then there's a lot of areas that you should keep looking, keep developing these new opportunities for your business. You can no longer ignore the digital realm.
And I know a lot of our business owners have been in straight denial about using digital technology.
Yeah, well, a lot of business owners are older,
yes,
and they're not too familiar.
They feel
with
like their old ways
computer.
are fine. It's been fine. It's been fine. It's been fine the way I do
But
it.
this has forced you to deal with the digital world. Don't just ignore it now that this is coming to a close. You have to be able to look outside of your comfort zones. You didn't want to do curb service, but you did because you needed to. now that, keep
You
stuff
might have
like that
found a
going.
new audience. You might have found new customers because of your flexibility.
Now, the other thing you should continue doing, stay engaged with your social media, allowing virtual meetings, sponsoring podcasts.
Like this one.
Staying connected to the community in a variety of ways. Keep looking at every angle and every opportunity that is available for your business.
So,
Yes.
Zachary, what do you consider to be the straight shot for today?
I guess the best lesson that we can kind of pull from today is keep on keeping on.
Keep on trucking.
So this has been a horrible situation for the world, not just the business community, not just your state, not just your country, the entire world. This has been difficult for, but we're pushing on. We're still here. You're still here. Let's keep on keeping on. That's a big thing. And the other is keep your eyes open. Be aware of your surroundings. What's going on in the marketplace? What's going on in the economy? Keep yourself informed as to the new opportunities that line up, new resources that are available.
Since you guys all know about the SBA now,
that's right.
Keep your eye on them.
Stay positive. That's a huge thing that's in all of this.
And it's hard.
It's really easy to fall into depression. So staying positive is...
So stay informed and watch the news, but not for too long.
The other thing I would say is continue to stay safe. This is not over. So I guess those are really the things that I think would be the takeaway from today. Push on, keep moving forward, try to stay positive, stay safe for sure.
Yeah.
But keep yourself informed. Keep yourself abreast of what's going on in the world around you, what resources you have available. Think outside of the box and what other opportunities that you might have. There's lots of things that's out there, social media and whatnot, that you can really tap into continually after this thing is over.
Right. And you guys can follow Zachary on social media if you don't already. And if you have any questions, or if you just want additional insights from him in your social media feed. He is B. Zachary Bennett on most places. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter. So, of course, if you want to talk with us here at Straight Shot, you can always do that on our social media channels as well. Connect with us, comment on our stuff, like us, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. And, our podcast is always found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere that you get your podcasts. We're usually there. So anyways, until next time, guys, and hopefully from our regular studios, bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening. If you found this podcast informative, we hope you'll pass along our web address, straightshot.net, to your friends, colleagues, and business associates. And please leave us a positive review on our Facebook page at facebook.com/straightshot. If you would like to have your question featured on the show, or would like to be a guest, call 678-825-8086, extension 300. Or you can email us at info@straightshot.net. Be sure to download the Straight Shot podcast app on your smartphone to hear previous and new shows. This has been Straight Shot.